Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay today. And this is part of our special series that we're doing, interviewing travel influencers and bloggers and compiling some of their responses into a virtual travel panel. And this is actually, I forgot to tell Joey, who's here with us today, that IGLTA is helping to sponsor this as well. So that's we're excited to be working with them, and they've been a big part of our lives in the travel world. So without further ado, hello, Joey.
Hey Matt, how are you?
I'm doing
It's
well.
been
It's
a
good to
while.
see you here. It's been a
It's
long
been
time.
months. It's been months since I've seen you.
Not to overplay that part, but you and I are on the circuit. We always go to all the travel conferences, and we network
Oh,
and we schmooze, and we that's been taken away from us.
I can't wait. I literally cannot wait for whatever the first one is. I think it may be IGLT in Atlanta next
Yeah, I
year.
know. I
That
know.
may
I
be
know.
the first physical one we go to.
I know, but no, you're unique. And before we even jump into the travel side of what this would constitute, I mean, you're a publisher. You've done a magazine called Unite, and you've moved to Indianapolis, and you're doing a lot with the gay chamber there. I mean, tell us a little bit about the kind of the overview outside of travel that you do.
Oh wow, well, you and I have known each other for like 100 years, so you've seen me go through all my different progressions in career. Right now, I serve as the executive director of the Indy Rainbow Chamber of Commerce, which is our LGBT chamber.
Yeah.
In addition, I publish Pride Journeys, which is my travel website and syndicated column, and then I also do PR specific to the LGBT community through my PR company, which is Agency 33, and they all seem to mesh together and they all play well together. So
Yeah.
my day is always different, and I'm always doing something exciting and fun.
Well, I think that's what we're going to be able to talk about what sets you apart. But what about for travel? What was kind of your impetus? How did you get into the side of the world of gay travel?
So when I published Unite magazine, publishing is hard, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this video either work for a publication or own a gay publication as well. My business partner at the time was just tired of doing them because at the time, we had Nashville, Indianapolis, and a national one. So we were doing 3 magazines at one time, and it just got to be overwhelming. So my business partner at the time was just tired and wanted to give it up. So I gave it up. We didn't sell it, we just sort of shut it down. But the one aspect of the publication that I loved was the travel column. I loved doing that. So I was like, what could I do where I could still travel, still be in the LGBT segment? So I launched Pride Journeys about 3 years ago now. And, since it was a digital only outlet, I wanted to create relationships with other media to get my stories out there. There's another syndicated travel column that I'm sure you're familiar with, but so I saw that concept. I was like, oh, well, I like that. So maybe I'll go to some of the publishers that they're not using and see if they want to run my stories as well.
Yeah.
So I've just had a large amount of success just partnering with other media. I do more than just travel. If I have an interesting interview, I interviewed Robin last year or earlier this year. So I syndicated that as well. Robin does not do a ton of interviews, so she was coming to Columbus, Ohio, and I interviewed her before that show, and I syndicated that, and maybe one or two others I've syndicated this year that are non-travel related. But it's just been fun, and I'm just trying to adapt to my lack of travel.
Hey,
I used to be on the road every month, and now it's like once every few months. So
I know we're all in that boat. But what I'm thinking of is that, I mean, what you're describing, I think it's safe to say that those are some of the components of what really makes you sets you apart, makes you different, because you're not just it's not that just you're posting your videos on YouTube, but you do. It's not that just you're posting your articles on Pride Journeys, but that is a part of what you do. But you've got the social media components, the content components, but also you've got this relationship distribution syndication piece. And I think it's safe to say that those pieces really set you apart in terms of your distribution and helping clients.
well, yeah, and that's really does what set me apart. And I even hesitate to use the term influencer because I think a lot of times now that relates to social media. And when it comes down to it, more of what I do is traditional journalism, and more of the eyeballs of who that read my stories, they're not reading it on social media. They're reading it in a print publication, in on the digital edition of that magazine or newspaper. Plus, I do have the social media side. So I'm really, in the beginning, I started calling myself an influencer when it was a hot term, but now I've sort of gone back to travel journalist just because I think I do encompass a lot more of the traditional side. I don't have 100,000 followers. I'm too old for that. I just don't. I don't. I can't. As much as I try, I can't get 100,000 followers. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm 40. I don't know. But I didn't start early enough.
But on Instagram, that's a whole other subject, but that's like, because you can only follow 7,500. So having that cap means that you've got to be very interesting and enticing, and to be able to get more people following you than you're following, which is not always the easiest thing to do. So that's why, everybody wants to be a Kardashian, but it's not all that easy.
Yeah. I reached 14,000 and I sort of capped. I leveled off. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to post more shirtless photos. Those seem to work. Nobody likes the other stuff. So, but there's going to come a time where I can't do that anymore.
So. Well, you may as well work it while you still got it.
I know. So.
But no, another thing I'd like to explore with you that kind of sets you apart is also you go to destinations that are not top of the list for a lot of other journalists and influencers.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's something that I've always liked doing, even before I got into journalism. I always like to explore other cities that weren't necessarily your top tier LGBT destinations. Every city has gay culture of some sort. It's just how big is it or how small is it? I actually love to explore cities going with no expectations at all. And sometimes I'm surprised. Oklahoma City, for example, I had zero expectations. I found out there's 8 gay bars. There's a gay resort. They're all in the same neighborhood. There's a gay neighborhood in Oklahoma City that is, it's awesome. And there are lesbian bars. There's gay bars. It's a whole conglomerate of LGBT culture that you would never think would be in Oklahoma. Same thing for like Kansas City, and there's so many destinations that people overlook. And really, what I wanted to do with Pride Journeys is show people about these destinations and let them explore them. How many times can you go to Miami? I love Miami, but how many times can you go there? Yeah. Sometimes you want to go somewhere different, but what destination is there? My job is to tell people, yes, it is safe to go to Oklahoma City, to Wichita, to Kansas City, to Grand Rapids. There's still some concern out there, especially in the world we live in, about safety. Yeah. So I'm doing the legwork for potential travelers, pretty much.
Well, there's a whole lot more on safety now. It kind of, it's not just safety for being openly gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, but also the safety of this pandemic. And how has that, affected you in these ways as well?
So I have a great relationship with Hilton, and I have traveled a little bit during the pandemic. I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I stayed at the Hilton, and it was absolutely wonderful. They have stickers on the door, it's sealed, so it's been sanitized. I got invited recently to a smaller, it's called the Quad Cities in Illinois. They have a gay culture there, and they wanted me to come explore it. And so it's not that far from Indianapolis, but they don't have major hotel chains. So with the rise of COVID now, I was hesitant to go. I told them next year I'll come visit, because I don't think they have a major Hilton that's going to have that level of sanitation. I'm a bit more hesitant to travel. I was just in Monterey. I stayed at the Monterey Plaza Hotel, but it's a 4 or 5 star property. So I knew they were going to have a great sanitation program now. And it was very clean. At the property I stayed at so far in the past 2 or 3 trips I've gone on, I've never had any issues. I was just in Saugatuck 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the dunes. Yeah. Also, it was wonderful. The major thing is you don't allow people to come clean your room during your stay. So you have to live in a messy room unless you want to do your bed yourself and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Or if you request service. But for the most part, nobody enters your room after you're inside.
Yeah. Which totally makes sense. I mean, sometimes we forget that in our own homes, we don't wash our towels every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm lucky
It's
if
a
I make the bed every
convenience.
day.
Yeah. I just made my bed. It's 3 o'clock. I made my bed, you know?
No, I hear you. But I think most importantly is that we're all here. We're in our own way. We're doing something, and trying to stay relevant and busy, and because hopefully we'll be able, you and I and others will be able to connect in the real world, even if it is in Atlanta next September. But at least it's a
Mhm.
goal.
You know what? As soon as everything shut down, I made it a goal to stay in communication with every destination I work with or I'm in contact with.
Yeah.
Not asking for trips, not arranging trips, just staying in contact in some way, whether it's sharing content, sharing information. I just did a webinar last week on attracting LGBT travelers, and I had 25 different destinations on the call. And it wasn't your New Yorks or LAs, it was your smaller cities, your mid-sized cities. And that's exactly my target is. It was wonderful. And, I don't know how I got in touch with these people, but I've been in touch with people from Finland and from England, from all like just way outside the US Canadian spectrum that I'd never reached out to before. Somehow they found me or I found them. And now we're just in constant Lithuania. I've never been in touch with Lithuania until like 3 months ago. And they're like, they want me to come out there when it's safe. So I was like, okay, I'll explore. And that's also a country. It's not known for being gay friendly. It may not. I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not Stockholm. It's not England. It's not London. So, but I'm open to explore that. I'd love to go there and see what their culture's like.
Well, it kind of goes to one of my premises, which is we're not only so much more connected globally, but now we're communicating and we're collaborating, and so much has changed over the last few years based on all these tools, and that's what allows me to stay on top of a lot of the trips you were describing. So I'm really glad. But what I was going to say is that I love the work you're doing. I was just keep it up. Look forward to always being there with you and seeing you. And I'm just really happy you were able to take a few moments and share some of your thoughts and ideas with our audience here.
Well, yeah, and thank you for doing this. I mean, you've pivoted your business a bit too since the pandemic, more video content, and I think it's great. And I follow and share when I can, and you've probably gotten to meet and interview a ton more people that you may not have had a chance to interview just prior to doing video content. So
no, it's opened up a
you
whole
really
new
took
world.
over the platform. Yeah, exactly. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so we're going to keep doing this even after it opens up. But this has been great, and really thank you for everything. And look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much. See you soon, Matt.
Okay.
Thanks.